see jazz hands going. Hold on.
All right, we got it.
Here you go. Jordan's doing jazz hands. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. There you go. Shawn and Ava doing. Shawn is not doing jazz hands. Ava's doing it. Shawn,
cheerleader.
He's protesting. There you go. Jazz hands. Jazz hands.
I'll do jazz hand.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. We are live. Welcome back to episode. I don't know what the hell the number is. 143 of the Who Moved My Freedom podcast, live from the Big Daddy Gun Studios. I'm your host, Hank Strange, in case you didn't know. And tonight, the subject of our show tonight is what the CNN town hall got wrong. Plus, and for that, we've got this young man here, Jordan, from Gun Owners of America.
Thanks again for having me on, Hank. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for coming on. Jordan's going to update us. We also have these two awesome young people here, Shawn Heron and Ava Flanell. Did I get it?
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay.
You didn't get the fact that Shawn's not young.
I mean, I'm youngish.
Okay.
Shawn paid me off earlier.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Exactly.
I was wondering what happened there.
Yeah. He paid me off to say that he's young.
Yes.
Yeah. This is how I butter Shawn up so that I could totally abuse him later. It's like a thing we do.
It is a thing we do.
Yeah. So
mentally, physically, whatever.
Yeah. Trust me, Ava. We're about to go in. We're about to. Well, actually, no. We gotta wait. We gotta get Jordan. And then we got to get that done. We got to handle business and stuff like that. So welcome back to the show. I hope you guys have your big girl panties on tonight. Okay, it's going to be a fun, informative show. We do have some serious business to deal with, which I will get to. I just want to shout out everyone that's in the chat. And I'm going to try to go down that really, really quick here because, you know, we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. I've got Chris Illog, Michael Bender, Sugar Bear. Let's see who else is in here. Circone, Johnny B. Mr. Saving the Day, The Coming Storm, Gorillas and Guns, The Tyven Show, Midnight Range TM, Joe Carpenter.
I'm there.
Yeah, Shawn is in there. Imposter's in there. Armament and Axis, SoCal Gunner is in there. Let's see, Weston Probst is in there as well. Opt out of gun control.
Hamburger Helper is there, and that just made me realize that I'm hungry.
Yeah, burger. I know. There's some cool names in here. Patrick M. Warthog is also in here. So shout out to all those people. Let me see. Brian Quick. I think I said Tango Hunter. Screaming Skull Saloon. And let's see who else.
Tactical Toolbox, Ava said. And
Tactical Toolbox is in there. Shout out to him. Good dude. Yep. Mr. Rod Mills is in there, a longtime supporter of the channel. And I saw Chad N, who I had a conversation with today. Chad, I sent my number to you. You should call me, and maybe we'll get into what Chad and I were talking about later if we have time. I see GunFunny is in there. Lola is in there. There's a whole bunch of folks in there. Tony Laubner in there as well. So I'm just trying to go through this quick. Kenneth K, music lover.
XL Weapon Works is there.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, Exhale. You like those guys, right? Me too.
Of course I do.
Yeah.
I've got eyes. I like them.
Right, exactly. Scamp 900. Tom Hausner is in there, like an actual very close personal friend of mine. Tom Hausner, pretty much family, to be honest with you. He's in there. And
that's what you say to everybody, because you just told me earlier that I was family.
No, don't. That's a lie. I love it. Red Sky's in there, Coffee Guns and Ammo, all those good people in there. LV Louis Cypher, if I missed anyone, it's not on purpose. We'll tell me to shout you out here in the chat and I will get back to you. If you guys have questions, you can hit us up with that. Before I let Jordan speak here. So Ava is going to be our first official female guest to stay the whole show. We have had, I think we've had a female guest before temporarily for like part of the show. So Ava's going to be the first official one, and then Shawn's going to be the second official female guest to stay the whole show. See,
Ava? Here we go. Guys, yeah, that's the thing is like Regina is my name. I got the bumps up top and down low.
We are open and accepting to everyone, Shawn.
That's great. I know. The lifestyles that are locked and loaded. There's other lifestyles that Hank lives.
Exactly. And we'll get into talking about that. So to get to a serious subject, because we've got a bunch of stuff going on, I think we've got CPAC. We've got this ridiculous CNN town hall thing that went down as well. So Jordan wanted to join us and fill us in on that. Jordan, what's going on?
Well, thanks again for having me on, Hank. But I'm sure many gun owners and gun rights supporters watched the CNN town hall, and I think the name of this chat is "What It Got Wrong." Well, it didn't get much right. I didn't see much going on there that would actually help. At GeoA, we've said we need to end gun-free zones and pass HR 34, Thomas Massey's bill. But, right now, I'm telling you, there's a lot of strategy going on at GeoA. We're working on ways to defeat all of this gun control legislation. But what senators and the president need to hear from you is that you oppose every single bit of gun control. You oppose it all, especially if you live in Florida, and to contact Marco Rubio. And that's one reason why I wanted to come on with Hank, because I know he's in Florida. And so if you can, you want to give Rubio a call and just be polite, be professional, but be firm. You tell him that you're a gun rights supporter. You own guns. If you do, if you don't, you support the Second Amendment, and you're a constituent of his that votes. And you are very disappointed that he made those statements last night in the CNN town hall. And that's not to take away from the victims or be insensitive to them. We're certainly sensitive to them. But, taking away rights is not a solution. So, he squished on a lot of issues. He said he's reconsidering magazine size, 30-round standard mags. That's very disappointing. He squished on the age limit. He switched on bump stocks, and gun owners in Florida need to call him and need to tell him. And actually, I have his office number lined up, and I know it's after hours, but you can leave a message once you dial the number. I think you hit 1, and then you can leave your message. And again, be polite, be professional, and be concise, but be firm. And they really need to hear from you. So his office number is 202-224 3041. So if you please, is very urgent. I mean, a lot of guys say, what is GeoA doing for your gun rights? Well, this is what we're doing. I'm trying. I don't know of a better way to come on and tell people in Florida to call Rubio and tell him, stop compromising on our rights. And for that matter, everywhere, we need calls to call your senators. And GeoA, we put out 2 alerts this week, one to the Senate and one to Trump. And I believe that they're hopefully they're in the description of this video. If they're not, they're on our website, where you can give Trump a call. Just look at the tweets he put out this morning. Very, very disappointing in Trump. Wanting to ban bump stocks and raise the age and more background checks. None of that's going to work. I know he's talking about arming teachers, which is good. We need that. But we don't need any of this other stuff. So call him, tell him to stand firm, and then email your senators and tell them not one bit of gun control. And the latest alert that we have out is actually specially tailored. I know to whether your senator's Republican or Democrat. So a lot of people is like, my representative is Dianne Feinstein. She's awful on guns. Well, yeah, but we have an alert especially tailored for her to try to get her to not be as anti-gun as she can be. So that we try to make it as easy as possible for you to get up and take action. We're working things on our end. We have people staying here overtime to fight for gun rights, and we're working on ways of killing this from our end and representing gun owners to the Congress. But we need your support. We need your grassroots efforts. So please call and email, and if you want, you can use our links that we provided. So that's really all my spill, and that's all I got. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take.
Yeah, Shawn, Ava, do you guys have any questions?
No, I don't. I mean, I didn't really watch it last night. I watched a little bit of it today, and it was honestly, it was sickening. It was hard to watch, and just what a slaughter that they put him into.
I know Dana Loesch, while I disagree with her on some of her proposed solutions, I thought for what it was, she did a good job. It was very difficult and emotional event.
So that's what I wanted to say specifically about the town hall. you know, I know you said at the top that probably a lot of gun guys watched it. I'll be honest with you. When it comes to CNN and a lot of the media out there, the truth of this is we don't watch those things. We tuned out of those things a long time ago. We know where they're coming from. And even after this, there's already news that's out there saying that this thing was all staged. But I don't think you need someone who was there to come out and say that it was staged. You can look at it. It's a complete setup. And I think I agree with you. I don't want to, you know, for another time victimize the kids or the parents that were there. But it's horrible to see these people being used in this way. Okay, I mean, they've gone through this horrible thing, and almost immediately they're put up in this situation where they're cheering and clapping and booing and taking out their frustrations on people that didn't do anything to them, when the human being, the broken human being that did this horrible thing exists somewhere, and we're all forgetting that he did this horrible thing. You know, we're forgetting about that. We're forgetting that there are people here that that made missteps, that did not do what they were supposed to do to protect these children. We're forgetting all these things. And it was basically this big stage where they brought on Rubio, and they brought on Dana Loesch. It's just to basically berate them and blame them for something that they had nothing to do with.
Yeah, and guys like me and Hank and the We Like Shooting folks, we're not responsible for that madman's actions. You know, just because I own a gun and I carry a gun every day, that doesn't make gun owners responsible. And don't demonize the guns. I think if we learned anything from this shooting, is that one, gun-free zones don't work, and two, you can't rely on the government to protect you, because they really dropped the ball. So what we need to restore our gun rights, eliminate these gun-free zones, which enable killers. I mean, 98% of public mass shootings happen in gun-free zones.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's tough for me to. There's so many things wrong with it, and I know that you know you're here for a limited time, but to see a bunch of people sitting up there, and the sheriff's department that's responsible is there, and they're being cheered on, and these guys are the immediate people. If we're going to hold anyone responsible for securing this place, we should hold the school, sheriff's department, and then go out in circles from there. And those guys are able to completely deflect it onto the rest of us, or onto the NRA or anyone else.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that the same sheriff's department that today announced that their sheriff's deputy sat outside, never entered the school, immediately put him on suspension with pay, and then the officer immediately resigned? That sheriff's department? Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, like it's so crazy. So, you know, for the sake of time, I know that you, if folks have questions or whatever, I'm gonna come to that.
I'll be happy to take some questions.
Yeah, but you were also, you said you were at the CPAC. I know that's also going down.
Well, I'm so dressed up.
Right. So what's going on there that we need to know about?
What would you like to know?
Well, okay. So I know that Wayne LaPierre was there. I mean, there's some other people. Yeah. Well, okay. So there might be some folks who don't know what CPAC is. So
yeah, CPAC is the Conservative Political Action Conference, and it's a major gathering of conservative activists and conservative groups. So there's a lot of speakers there. There's a hub with a lot of conservative groups. There's trainings people can take. It's just outside of DC in the National Harbor in Maryland. But it's an annual rally. It's been going on, I think, for 40 years, I think. But you know, I was there today. I was in attendance, and I did see Dana and Wayne speak in addition to our vice president. So
okay. Anything positive coming out of that, or is it just the same old, same old?
You know, I don't want to throw mud at other organizations, but you know, I disagree with some others in the gun rights movement about Nick's fix, as I've expressed, and the other gun controls. So that's you know, our response is we shouldn't give anything for our gun rights, or try to fix a broken system that frankly should be abolished. So
okay, all right. So Shawn, and also Ava, you guys feel free to jump in here. Are there any questions that you want to ask Jordan? Or also, you know, you guys are in Colorado. How are folks seeing this out there?
You know, my friends list on Facebook is fairly varied because I don't like to live in an echo chamber, so I kind of want to see all different portions of the discussion that's going on. I don't know. People in Colorado, we've had our own problems recently. We just had, we've had police get shot. We've had a couple spree killers here. I haven't seen a whole lot of outbursts or anything else like that. 70 miles north of us, we have Denver, Colorado, which is our state capital, but also the liberal stronghold, or one of them in our state. And we've seen some things where they've been trying to infringe on our rights even more. And it's been happening, after Las Vegas. We have a 15-round mag limit ban in the state already. Now in Denver, Colorado, they've actually taken away the grandfather clause, so they're just completely illegal. Even if you owned them before July 1st, 2013, in Denver, they are now completely 100% illegal. They've banned bump stocks in Denver. It's one of those things. We've got 3 real places in Colorado that are those liberal strongholds. We've got Denver, Colorado, Boulder, and Fort Collins, and unfortunately, they are very small parts of our state, but very, very influential in the future of our gun policies here.
Yeah. So, do you guys, how do you look at this? How do you look at this situation? Do you think that it's going to get worse? You're going to lose more and more things here. Do you think that this is making people activate and get away from the apathy? Because I think basically before Trump got elected, and then especially when he got elected, there's this increasing amount of apathy where people think that because there's a supermajority and you've got Trump in the White House, that no new gun laws are coming. Are you guys seeing that, or are you seeing people waking up?
Well, if I could hop in on that, sure. Like right now, the reason why I came on is because we need grassroots calls going out right now. Because Trump's tweet this morning, which was, like I referenced, none of that's going to work. And sadly, that is, what we're seeing kind of is it's making some Republicans more weak-kneed. So that's why gun owners need to call and tell them stand firm. So that's why I came on. We're doing something about it. So
yeah. So let's look. Okay. So let's talk real briefly about the tweet, if you guys want to do that. I think one, he called for teachers to be armed in the schools. Okay, and then he called to raise the age limit to buy a firearm, right? And then what was the other thing? Mental health, or was it protecting the schools?
I'm see if I can get it. I got it pulled up right here.
Yeah.
So I can read it off if you like.
Go ahead. Yeah.
This is from his Twitter feed. I will be strongly pushing for comprehensive background checks with an emphasis on mental health. Raise the age to 21 and end the sale of bump stocks. Mm-hmm. Congress is finally in a mood to do something on this issue, I hope. Right. The only thing Congress should do is pass H.R. 34 to end gun-free zones. That's what we've said all along. But sadly, again, the president does have some power over the lawmakers, and it's kind of making some of the lawmakers weak-kneed. And I think a great example of that is sadly Rubio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys want to jump in on any part of this, please, feel free. Like, this is pretty much how we do it. We just say what we have to say here. So I think that none of those things is going to do anything. I think if teachers, right? If teachers, you're saying, okay, this is a solution. Most of these teachers, if you look at the town hall, the teachers are saying that they don't want to do it. I believe that there probably are teachers who want to do it, but that's not a solution to this thing.
And I'm sure that's a very small majority. I know a ton of teachers, and most of the ones, I'll say a super majority of the people that I know that teach in schools absolutely want the opportunity or the option.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we've trained a lot of schools, even in Colorado. The district can approve it, and there's a lot of schools that are starting to carry the teachers.
Yeah. Right, and there's schools around that
don't want to.
Yeah, and I don't think we should force teachers to carry guns. If someone doesn't want to do that, then that's fine. Just like, when we advocate for constitutional carry or whatever, we don't force people to carry guns. We never advocate for that. It's obviously a decision, and one that should be not taken lightly and done responsibly. But again, like what y'all just said, we should have the option to.
Yeah. And why do teachers not? I mean, that's a thing right there. And I think one of the things I don't like when it happens is when we put everything in the same bucket, right? So I think it's a separate thing of whether or not teachers should be able to do that, right? And guns used to be in schools. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's not, people here can remember it. It's not that big of a deal.
I'm not that old, Hank. Come on.
Well, and I've said this before. You know what? Here's what I think about the whole school issue, if we want to separate that issue. One of the things I think that's happening in America is that people in America believe when they look at other countries, it's almost like another planet, and they don't think anything that happens in other countries can happen here. At this point, you know that there is no such thing, right? Anywhere there's human beings, anything can happen. I went to school outside of America. Specifically, I went to school in Africa, in Nigeria, where in the exact area where Boko Haram is operating right now. I mean, I think they just recently attacked a school in the last day or so, and they had to have armed guards on the campus of the school. This is not a new thing. So I don't like, why are people, what dreamland do people in America want to live in that they just want to go, no, we're going to wave a magic wand and a school is going to become a safe place and no one's going to go there and do anything bad. And then at the same time, we're going to go take the most valuable things to us and have them in this place 5 days a week. How do you think that no one decides to attack that place? What makes you think that that place should not be guarded? That's the weird, crazy thing to me that's happening.
When I saw Mike Pence today, I had to go through a metal detector and empty out my pockets, and there were a lot of people with AR-15s or maybe M4s. I didn't get a close look, and certainly handguns around protecting Mike Pence. We protect our politicians with guns, and we protect our kids with a sign that says "No guns are allowed here." And that just baffles my mind.
We protect our banks with our
gun.
Well, I mean, and how many times do you see like courthouses, just
everything. We protect everything with
that have
guns.
Never been shot up because there's people that you can't even get through with a firearm. So I don't understand why they're not securing all schools.
Yeah. I mean,
as well as they should.
I agree. And it's not just about, I mean, it's all in how we frame things, right? It's not just teachers carry guns in schools. We need to reframe that. And we need to say qualified individuals with the proper amount of training and temperament to carry in schools. That's how we should be framing it. Because some teachers don't want to do that. They don't want to take that responsibility. And I support
really
that.
Aren't mentally all there. Like, in all honesty, there's a lot of teachers that I've had that I'm like, I would never give them a gun.
Right.
I mean, that's just like generally just how it is.
And I think that's just with the general population. There's some people that just
So I mean,
are just mentally unstable.
I think we reframe it and say qualified individuals with training and background and temperament are the ones that should carry guns in schools. Then you want to talk about.
Of course, it should be done responsibly. There's no doubt there. But we don't need more laws to come in and say you can't carry here. So that's my comment on that. So
and then we've got the age thing. Sorry, Hank. We've got the age thing, 21, and I'm like, you know what? Okay, cool. Let's do that. But we better damn well raise the age that our sons and daughters can go into the military. Because if you're going to be out there defending our country, you better damn well be able to defend your life on our own soil.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that. And here's another thing. What are we going to add to age? Are we going to say that you have to be 21 years old to have an abortion? Regardless of what you believe on that, are we going to say that? Are we going to keep adding age things? At what point are we going to say that someone's an adult, like you just said, and they can go, fight for their country, die for their country? You're going to put a gun in their hand for them to do that. What they do there makes everyone free, so people can have town hall meetings, and we could do what we're doing, and everyone can do that. And then you can't do it. And then even more than that. So this guy was 19. So we're going to set a limit at 21. What happens when a 22-year-old does it?
Yeah, it's stupid. It's trying to chase a moving target.
Yeah.
It's arbitrary. We can vote at 18. I'm sure Democrats wouldn't like to raising the voting age because they would lose a lot of their demographic. But, we can vote. We can serve our country. Our society has deemed that 18 is the age of adulthood, and that's when, that should be the standard. You should be a man. What if someone gets married when they're young? Apparently I'm the young guy here. What if someone gets married when they're 19? Can he not protect his family?
Yeah.
Can
he not hunt? Can he not go buy a rifle to hunt? If he lives somewhere by himself, can he not protect himself? Well, the answer that we're saying is no, not until you get to 21 years old. And what the hell is that going to do? How is that going to stop an 18-year-old, a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old? How is that going to stop them from taking advantage of someone else, like a neighbor, a friend, a police officer? How are we going to stop them from doing something to that person, poisoning them or doing some other horrible thing and then getting access to what they have? It's not. We can't do anything. You cannot figure out. It's like with the whole mental health thing, which I'd like to talk about a little bit and see what, Shawn and Ava think about this, and you as well, Jordan. But, you can't predict who's broken that way 100% of the time. So I'm not saying if you have warning signs, you shouldn't deal with that. Of course you should deal with it. But the whole slippery slope about the mental thing is a person can go crazy really fast, or they could be crazy and you do not realize it until they decide to do something destructive. Why would we take away the ability in that moment that person loses it to deal with them and stop other people from being harmed? Go ahead.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but honestly, with most of the general population, I don't even want to engage in this debate at all. And normally I love to argue. I'll debate anything with anybody at any time. But here's the bottom line. Someone in January, someone close to the murderer in Florida called into the FBI tip line, said, hey, I have reasonable suspicion that this person is going to be a school shooter. They're going to go shoot a school. I have just really valid concerns about this. They called in, they did everything necessary. If the FBI would have investigated, they probably would have found evidence that would have stopped this from happening. We had a solution in place. The solution failed. So the solution now is not to go and chase other things down and let our emotions rule the day. Until someone talks about FBI control and reforming the FBI, because that's where the failure laid in this case. So I don't even really want to debate gun control on this, because
and not for the first time, right, Shawn? This is not the first time.
Without question, not the first time. And look, they have a heavy caseload. I get that. Do I think all FBI agents are crappy and don't do their job? Absolutely not. But the system's broken. If they need more headcount to actually keep up with the threats that are coming to us on our own soil, then that's what they need to do. And I don't want to talk about gun control. I don't want to waste our time in the Senate or Congress or even the presidency on something that we already have everything in place to stop.
Yeah. I sense that Ava wanted to jump in on that. Ava?
I pretty much, it's funny because Shawn and I, we pretty much finish each other's
sushi all the time.
So, but everything that he's saying, I mean, we talk about this like daily. So, so he just said basically what I had to say.
The problem is that we see this, and the tragic thing when I was watching listen, I'm telling you, that thing on CNN was really terrible to me. I don't know how to, how much time would it take if your children were murdered? How much time would it take before you want to go into this huge forum and you want to be standing there with people cheering and booing and jeering at people and holding people who didn't do anything to you responsible? How much time would it take for you to get there? Because it would take me a long time to get there. If someone did something to one of my children, I at that moment want to get that person, and that's it. That's what I want to deal with.
Yeah, that actually was kind of sickening to me that there were so many people, and this was just so it's been a week now, and it was weird that a lot of them didn't even break into tears. They weren't as choked up. But I just think that it was a little weird, and I think that it was a little soon, because right now everybody's just running off of emotions.
Yeah, I don't know. And they call this a discussion, although many times the people that were standing up on that stage called it a debate. But honestly, it was a firing line. It was an execution.
It was surreal. I mean, how did we get to this point in America that this happens? And I'm not saying that they absolutely have the right. Everyone has the right to get up there and speak about whatever they want to. But what happens? So you were victimized today. And because you were victimized, you're deciding that you are now going to decide the fate of everyone else, right? Out of 350 million people, you were victimized. You're going to decide the fate of everyone else. What happens when I'm victimized? Do I now get to hold that magic stick and decide your fate? That's the question that you have to ask. I think if I'm victimized and I go through this horrible loss, what I want to deal with in that time is the horrible loss, and that's all I'm going to focus on. I'm seriously trying very, very hard to not like try to come down on these people, because I understand what happened to them. But I'm really, really mad at places like CNN and all these people that put this thing together and set these people up in this way, because I think in the future, they're going to look at this and say, what the hell did we do? And we already have someone that's saying, yeah, I couldn't do this. This was all scripted and staged.
Mm-hmm.
It's been almost 5 years since my sister died, just suddenly and unexpectedly. And I honestly can't even say her name right now with almost bursting into tears. But these people are standing on stage in front of a bunch of people. And look, I get it. When she died, I wanted to scream to the heavens, because like I was angry and I was upset and I didn't understand why she had to go. But they're standing on the stage and there's just, it was accusation after accusation and talking point after talking point after talking point. And yeah, exactly right. Like how it was a circus. It was a circus for them to feel better about the loss that they had experienced.
How is that different? How is that different than from just going and grabbing someone and putting them in the town square and then stoning them to death or burning them on a pyre because, we feel that they're the witch that cast a spell on the town?
Exactly.
Yeah. And honestly, like, say what you will about Rubio, like I'm not a huge Rubio fan, although at one point in history I was, but that's a tale for another day. But hated a lot of the things he said, but you would have never got me on that stage. I don't care if it was my job. I don't care if they were my constituents. I would not have gotten on that stage because we all knew exactly how it was going to go. And we were not surprised.
Right. I think there's one reason why he went on the stage. And I know what you're saying. This made me dislike Rubio more. And I'm going to tell you why. Because he got on that stage because he would do anything to become president. That's my personal belief. You guys can hate me for that, but that proved to me that he's willing to do anything to become president. Yeah. To get on that stage right now and say, "Oh, guys, I'm going to stand up here and take this from you." Do you think that some part of him thinks that people are going to go, "This guy's a hero," and when voting comes around, they're going to go, "No, we're not going to vote for Oprah. Let's get Rubio in there."
And I think of it this way. Trump promised us a lot of things and made a lot of us believe that he was going to be tough for the Second Amendment. And now look what happened. Imagine if we get someone like Rubio in there who's already wishy-washy. Imagine how they're going to be under pressure.
Yeah, I think we're doomed. So let me just go to Jordan real quick. I don't know how much time you have, Jordan. Let us know when you have to step out of here.
I don't want to take away from y'all's discussion, but right. I just wanted to get those points in. Any questions people have in the chat, feel free to fire.
Let me take a look at the chat, Shawn, Ava, if you guys can look at that. I know I've got one question here. Is the GeoA planning a march on Washington with the gun community?
We are focused on employing the most effective strategies to stop all this gun control right now. And right now, the most effective strategy is to call your senators and call Donald Trump. So if a rally is effective in the future, and we believe that, we'll certainly be involved in organizing that. But right now, today, we need people to call and email Trump and the senators.
Okay, absolutely, guys. And I don't know, Lola, if there's any questions or if you guys see any. We do have a link in the description. You put the link the links that Jordan had in the description, right? So those links are there. Also, there's a link in there for the GeoA that you can sign up for a year. It's usually $20. You can sign up for $15. And the thing about it is, I don't get anything out of this. I don't want to get anything out of it other than for you guys to support the GeoA, because I think we need people who are going to block all these things that happen. Personally, I feel there's a lot of politicians and organizations that are making deals, backroom deals that we're not party to and we don't want to be party to. And we need an organization like the GeoA pushing back. So do you guys see any questions for Jordan in there? I know Lola is throwing one up. Okay, Lola's telling me to thank Jordan. I think pretty much people here, you know, they agree with us.
Well, I want to thank you, Hank,
Yeah.
for coming on. I know it was kind of short notice, but this is thank you and thank to everyone. And I just ask, please contact him. You know, I'm here to activate you and try to, you know, let the senators and Donald Trump know that gun owners who are a big supporter of his to not compromise and to not give in, and none of that's gonna work out.
Yeah.
So,
Chad N wants to know real quick before you go, how was Ted Cruz today?
I actually left before he came on. I had to get back to the office. I did interviews before this and I had to take care of some other things, so I didn't get to see him actually. So
right, okay, and you know what, Jordan, I know you have to go, so please come back. Let us know if there's things you need to talk about. Keep updating us and keep us, you know, aware of what's going on here.
And hey, Jordan, I just became a member of Gun Owners of America. Thanks for all the hard work you're doing.
Thank you so much. Y'all don't know how much that means to us. I mean, for everyone who joins, it's like you're joining our family. You know, you're on our team, and we're so grateful. And our power lies in you. Y'all are our strength. In fact, before I go, there's one thing, our alert that goes to the Senate. You know, NBC commented on GeoA and our effectiveness of snuffing out gun control, and we put that right on our members. So they are the true grassroots people that you know, that give us the power. They amplify our voice and our strong stand in DC. So again, if there's no other questions, I think I'll sign off and let y'all have the rest of the time. But again, you know, if you want to join, Hank has the link in the description or whatever, and you can like GeoA on Facebook and follow on Twitter and Instagram. My Twitter is Jordan K. Stein. If you want to follow me on there, I'm very active on there. But yeah, and again, to you, Hank, thank you so much. It means a lot to me, and just we are very grateful for this.
Yeah, you're welcome, Jordan. I'm here for this. The reason why I'm doing this is for this purpose, and I'll try to, you know, get some info to Shawn as well. If you know, Shawn, if you're interested in having Jordan on, is
feel free to share my contact info.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Very cool. Yeah, love to.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Jordan.
All right, I'm gonna sign out. Take care, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah, I go ahead. What was that?
I said, what a smart young man he is.
Yeah, absolutely.
He really is, though. For his age, he's pretty smart.
Yeah, you know what? And it gives you hope that there are, let me make sure I'm staying close to the mic.
Not all the kids are his age are eating Tide Pods, that some of them are actually, you know, doing
Yes.
Okay, but
you also eat my sushi.
Yeah. I love
I think she just eats, she might be an alien. She's just eating everyone's sushi.
Dude, we love sushi.
Right. Yeah. And one of the things I wanted to say is that what he was alluding to there with the GeoA, and it's really true. There's this video that's going around with all these politicians and people, you know, late night news and everything saying how horrible the GeoA is. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
I haven't. I try to avoid the news at all costs.
Yeah, but basically that's who they're afraid of. They say they prefer the NRA over the GeoA because the GeoA gives them no quarters. You know, and there's a video out there. I'll try to find it and share it with you guys. Or if anyone knows the video I'm talking about, put it in, like, try to put it in here or send it to me or Lola or something, because it's really funny to see all these politicians complaining about the GeoA and not complaining about the NRA. And it's an indication of what we need to do here. So, okay. Now that being said, let's, you know, thanks guys for coming on. I know that, like, when we made plans for you guys to come on, we didn't necessarily, you know, I don't know. I think some of this stuff was going on obviously at the time, but we didn't realize that it was going to just keep getting deep, you know, deeper and deeper every day. So I appreciate you guys coming on.
Oh man, glad to be here.
Yeah, and I think folks out there would like to know, you know, for you guys to tell us about what you do. I'm most interested, Shawn. Don't take this personally.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I'm most interested in GunFunny and Ava, and you know what she has going on.
Oh well, thank you. Finally, I get the spotlight. No.
Yeah, because Shawn is an attention whore.
He is.
I am not. I'm an attention whore as much as Hank. Oh wait, I am an attention whore.
Exactly. So tell us about GunFunny, Ava. You know, who are you? How did you, you know, get into this whole thing?
So GunFunny is it's a podcast that I started 7 months ago, and we are on episode 29. Is it now?
Yes, 29
We're going
next
on
week.
29. Yeah, next
Okay.
week, the 29. So once a week it's released. And before that, I was a panelist on We Like Shooting. I'm also an instructor. I've been teaching for 5 years now. And my story is kind of interesting because I only shot my first gun 5.5 years ago. So I was raised around guns, but I grew up very girly. And when I turned 18, I went to school in New York City. I lived there for 8 years. And then, I mean, if you told me back then that I'd be in the gun community doing what I'm doing, I definitely wouldn't believe it. But
Right. Cool. What part of New York City were you living in?
I lived everywhere. I went to Fordham University.
Okay.
And so I lived like on the Upper East Side, Midtown, Chelsea, Murray Hill, everywhere in the city. I think, I moved pretty often because, you know, rent's expensive and it's really hard to find a decent apartment. And every time I'd live in one apartment, I'm like, oh, I hate it. I can't wait till my lease is up, and I'd move. And, you know.
Yeah, I know how it is. I grew up in New York as well. So, yeah, definitely. Okay, so you know, you said that you did this 5 years ago. How did you know, if you grew up with guns and you wound up in New York and all that, how did you get back to guns?
So my parents, they owned a gun store. My mom was an instructor. 6 years ago, my family and I, we were recording a TV show. We were recording the pilot, and a horrible accident happened, and I lost my mom. And so then I just decided to pretty much leave my life in New York behind. I moved back to Colorado to help my dad with the business. And because my mom was always, it's kind of like your and Lola's relationship. I'd imagine that she's sort of the brains of the operation. You're just kind of the face.
Damn, Shawn. Did you see that? Like, okay.
That's what you get. That's what you get.
So my sister and I were super worried. She was still in college at the time, and we were super worried because my mom always did like all the books and stuff. So I moved back, learned as much as I could about the business, and then literally a week before, while we were filming, they wanted my mom to teach me how to shoot a gun, of course, on camera. So as if, you know, shooting my first gun wasn't intimidating enough, it had to be on camera. And I just remember I couldn't rack the slide, like loading the magazines, my nail polish is chipping, like horrible day, you know. And the first time I shot, I was just like shooting bullseye after bullseye. It was almost like in my blood. And then after I moved back and I was helping my dad with the business, I figured it was about 6 or 7 months later, I decided to kind of follow my mom's footsteps and become an instructor. And so since then, I've been doing that for, like I said, almost 5 years now, and I love it. I teach full time. Oh,
okay. Wow. Okay. So how did that lead to We Like? Because I know you're saying in there that you you somehow, you know, you were on We Like Shooting before, right?
Yeah,
so how did that happen?
That's a good question. Shawn messaged me one day and asked if I wanted to be a guest, not a guest, but a guest panelist on the show. And I didn't even know what a podcast was, so I said no. And then a few weeks later, he asked me again, and I think I just kind of gave in, and I was like, all right. Because I guess I was just really nervous, and I didn't have any of the proper gear to even, you know, like I didn't have a headset to plug in my computer. So I got one of those, and every time that I was on the show, I hated the way that I sounded. I hated just the things that I said because I knew that I was so much more smarter than that. And so then he kept asking me to come back on. And I kept saying yes because I couldn't, you know, because I wanted to sort of do much better than I did, you know, the show before. And then eventually he asked me, he's like, you know, everybody really likes you, which has changed since then, but.
Well, okay.
And,
How so? I mean.
Oh, people don't like me now.
Oh, really? Oh.
No.
It's all Shawn. I think, you know, that's Shawn in the background working against you. You have to be really careful with him. He's evil.
Could be.
So it Yeah. So I did the show for what, like about a year. I was on the show for about a year and I enjoyed it.
8 months, something like that.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. But, you know, they say women are usually dramatic, but sometimes these guys, so being the only female with a bunch of guys on the show, I just.
I already know. Yeah. So you decided to go off and do your own show, right?
Yes.
Because you realized you were too awesome for those dudes.
I don't want to say I was too awesome, but I just felt like it wasn't really up my alley as much. And we didn't have a lot of female guests. And as you said before, so I'm the first female guest, you know, to be on the show for the entire show. So I think that with women being so, you know, they're pretty much, there's tons of women right now getting into the gun industry, but I feel like a lot of shows, a lot of these, you know, male dominant podcasts and such, they're not, shining as much light on a lot of the women in the industry. So that was one thing that I wanted to do was definitely interview some of the women that I really look up to. I think that a lot of people take themselves really seriously. You know, there's a lot of egos in this industry, and I wanted to create a podcast that was funny. In one of the segments, we do prank calls, which I'm sure is going to come back to bite me in my ass one day. But I think that it kind of adds.
I'm surprised it hasn't already, to be honest, because Lola and I were on the show with you guys. So I think your last episode was Lola and I, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we do prank calls, and honestly, they used to be fun when we were young. And now at our age, we definitely have to drink a little bit. The last time we did prank calls, I drank way too much, and Shawn had to end up doing all of the prank calls. He had to develop like 20 different personalities, which apparently is really easy for him. But
no, it's actually like the worst part of every week. Whenever we have to do prank calls, it's the worst part of the week.
Yeah. Yeah, but you've started this thing, and now that's how it goes here, man. If you start something and then the people like it, you don't have any choice. You know, the people want it. You gotta give them what they want, right?
Love the prank calls, but coming up with the ideas and then figuring out who to prank call, and you know, it is stressful, but it's funny when we do play it on the show. It's definitely funny.
And we go about them like so different, because for a prank call, she'll like want to write everything down, and like she'll like be, I got to plan this out.
That's because I'm kind of like OCD. Like when we were going to come on tonight, and I asked Shawn to ask you about, you know, show notes, what's the the topics.
And we don't have those.
You're like, I'm just going to wing it. And I was like, joke's on him, because I'm going to write an entire outline, and then we're going to dominate this show.
For me, I just dial the phone, and when someone answers, I just make it up as I go.
Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with trying to keep me. You can ask Lola about trying to keep me focused. How that goes. I see there's some people in the chat that want to know like exactly what's going on, you know, where they find you, where they find the show, etc. So you guys key us in on that. You know, both We Like Shooting and of course GunFunny.
So you can go on to gunfunny.com and you can find all of those links. We're on the Firearms Radio Network, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. My personal Instagram and Facebook is Elite Firearms and Training, but GunFunny also has. So balancing out all of the social media is like a full-time job, which I'm sure you can understand.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's not easy. Keeps me going. So, okay. And then, you know, we were talking about women in the industry. I think I'd like to get into that a little bit more deeply, because, you know, there's so many, there's so many aspects of this to talk about, right?
Definitely.
You know, and I think without a doubt, I mean, there's no question of this, you know, women are pretty much half the population, right? Yes. So this is not a thing that's just for dudes, it's for women. But the way that we look at things as guys, and then the way that we look at women, you know, it's completely different from the way that women look at this and the way that they look at us. So can you, obviously you're a woman, you know, can you give us some of the, you know, what have you learned from doing this all this time? And, you know, what insights can you give us? What can you tell us about ourselves, basically, Ava? You know,
You would think that being a female in the industry, you're not taken as seriously. And I think that at the end of the day, you kind of set the platform for how you want to be treated. If you demand, respect, then you're probably going to get respect. But if you're constantly posing half naked with guns and you have no idea how to operate those guns, you're not going to be taken seriously. From your guys' perspective, I mean, I think that even like people that think that, they can accept women in the industry, I still see that they do treat women and men differently. And just from being, on We Like Shooting, when we would do interviews, Shawn and I would do an interview together, and I noticed that the guest would talk to Shawn and would not look at me when we were asking questions. He would answer to Shawn, not me.
Wow.
So
okay.
Little things that you normally wouldn't think that I've kind of picked up along the way.
Yeah. I mean, that's really weird because I would rather talk to you and not Shawn at all, to be honest with you.
Think.
But no, seriously, like I would think that's what I was thinking you were going to say when you started framing that whole thing. I was like, oh, because that's pretty much what I've been doing. I've been trying to ignore Shawn.
I appreciate it.
I fell asleep like a half hour ago.
Yeah. But so you noticed that as well, Shawn, or
what? I'm not kidding. I actually fell asleep. What was it?
No, Ava was saying that when you guys were doing interviews, that the guests would literally just keep eye contact with you and talk to you and not her. And you noticed? Did you? I mean, I'm assuming you did notice this.
Yeah. So, when you're actually doing an interview, you're kind of giving it your whole focus, and I didn't necessarily notice, but she was definitely mad, like right after the one that was probably the most blatant that we saw. And it wasn't until I went back later that night to watch the video just to kind of figure out what was going on. And you blatantly see it. The body language changed, and he absolutely was turning his back to her to speak to me. Even when she was asking questions, she would ask a question, he would turn towards me and answer the question to me. And yeah, just weird things like that. So, and maybe it was, we've got friends here in this town that you can tell, like, just don't necessarily respect, the opinions or knowledge or whatever of a female in the firearms industry, whether it's on purpose or not, unknown. But I mean, yeah, once you start to like kind of look for it and just observe, you definitely you do see it. It's a bias for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't happen that often. It's not as often as you think. I mean, for the most part, like I said, if you want to be taken seriously, then I think that you kind of lay the groundwork for how you want to be treated. So I don't think that it's huge, but it is something that I've kind of noticed.
Right. I find that weird, but I know that obviously it exists. I think some things are cultural or maybe how people were raised, but and maybe this might be the problem, but if you had a mother, how do you ignore women? I just don't really understand that, it's difficult for my brain to compute that thing unless there was something about your mom that puts you in a situation where you're like, oh, so I'm never listening to any. I know, like, my mom was pretty tough, in her days, and she's basically the one that raised us. I have a dad and all that, but my mom, like most people's moms, that's who put in most of the work. Lola puts in most of the work, when it comes to raising the kids, even though I've spent a lot of time as like a stay-at-home dad and all that kind of stuff. How do human beings, how do men get to that situation where they totally discredit you?
I think it's the topic, because if you were going to talk to me about, let's say, laundry or cooking or something, I'm sure that you would look at me and talk to me more so than you would look at Shawn. But if you guys are talking about guns, I think naturally men will talk to other men about it, as opposed to asking me what my opinion is and taking it seriously.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that that's what it is. It boils down to the topic. I don't think that men in general, are disrespectful to women or don't realize that they're there. They ignore them, because that's the opposite. But depending on certain topics, I think that they do.
And to be 100% clear, if they want to talk to you about guns, absolutely, you are the right person to talk about guns. Also, extremely good at laundry. So I don't want to, diminish your laundry skills.
But don't ask me about cooking. No. Right? Unless it involves a microwave.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you don't want to try to cook hard-boiled eggs in the microwave.
Doesn't work. Makes a huge mess.
I never tried that. I just joke.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know what? Yes, I think I see some of these things, and I wonder, like, is this something that we were creating? You were alluding earlier to, like, I don't know. I hate to say gun bunny because, and here's why. I'm going to tell you why. There's dudes who are celebrities in this gun game, right? And they might be celebrities. They might have some physical attribute that makes them celebrities. So they might be really good looking. They might have like muscles or something like that. They might be really tall, whatever it is. Those guys, I don't see them trying to pretend that they're not tall or not, so for example, Demolition Ranch, I mean, he tries to use as much of his cuteness or whatever it is as much as possible. So I don't understand when that translates over into a woman doing this, if she's attractive, like, dude, if I had muscles and stuff like that, you guys would be seeing me shirtless in every damn video.
Oh, thank God you don't have muscles.
I'm not against that per se. I think it's just if you're using that as a crutch and you don't really know what you're doing, there's just a lot of people in the industry that don't really, they don't know how to operate a firearm, and yet they're posing half naked with one, when there are so many more women in the industry now that are good looking. They know what they're doing. Like for SHOT Show, there's so many companies that will hire promotional models. Why hire a promotional model if you can actually get somebody in the industry that knows what they're talking about? So I just think that, it's whatever. Women fought to dress half naked. So I'm not going to say that, I'm against, seeing a girl that is half naked, because it's a right that we fought for.
Yeah.
I just don't like when you rely only on that. And there's so many people now that they know what they're doing. You see with Taran Tactical, hiring promotional models does not work.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Obviously, painfully so. For him, that doesn't work. And you know what? But I think that's a point that you just made that's really good, but not only for women. Shawn, like, how come these companies? And I'm not saying Shawn Ava just because I'm trying to get his thing on it, but how many companies ignore all of us that are doing what we're doing right now? How many companies ignore all of us that make videos and we're putting things out there? And then when they go to get people to be in their booth, just hire like celebrities that really aren't into this thing, or just hire booth models or people to come and speak for them that don't really understand this. That happens all the time.
Yeah, without question, our industry has been changing, and historically the gun industry has been, 15, 20 years behind the times as far as adoption of new technologies, adoption of new media platforms, things like that. So, we just, it's kind of what you would expect to see. It's probably what you see in every single other industry. It's just because it's kind of like the good old boy gun club that we've seen just such a slow adoption of things like that. And I think it's improving. I think it's constantly changing. But yeah, you're right. Tons of companies won't give us the time of day. But on the same token, I think a lot of them are kind of waking up and realizing that this is the new now. This is our new normal, and that they better get with it. But once again, they're behind the curve, several years now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think along that lines, Lola is asking me to ask you guys to explain what happened with Taran. Is it Taran or Taran? I always say Taran.
Taran.
Yeah.
Don't know, don't care.
Yeah. So explain to the folks what happened. And I think it's relative to what's happening with like the NRA and all that kind of stuff and what's going on right now. But explain to people who don't know what happened there.
All right, I'll take it. So basically, I don't know. I guess here's the thing. Taran Butler is an amazing shooter and has revolutionized a lot of things as far as competition shooting goes. He's a rock star in his own right. Definitely just a very accomplished shooter that we should all respect his capabilities and his abilities. The people who don't know, he was the one who kind of trained Keanu Reeves for John Wick. I'm sure we've all seen that video. And Taran surrounds himself with a bunch of female shooters. There's always an entourage around him when you go to SHOT Show, NRA, kind of all these different things. And to be perfectly honest, I think it's tacky as hell. Some of them are proficient and accomplished shooters, and some of them aren't. Well, one of these people, Rochelle Hathaway, was actually several of Taran Tactical's shooters or promotional models, however he wants to refer to them, but it's all BS in my opinion. They were rounded up for a Glamour magazine article in an off-site hotel at SHOT Show. Several of them came through, and it was basically asking about the Second Amendment. They came through and said, they walked the line and the company line and talked about guns and rights and things like that and why they carry. And it was all very nice. And then you get down to Rochelle Hathaway, who is a flight attendant, was her occupation in the Glamour magazine article. And she just basically lambasted and trashed the Second Amendment, said that why would anyone need to own more than 3 guns? It's ridiculous. Why would anyone need to own an AK-47? It's crazy.
A semi-automatic.
A semi-automatic. Yeah. Semi-automatic should be illegal.
Why don't you just arm yourself with a single shot revolver?
Said if the government came to get our guns, she wouldn't even be mad. And I mean, just basically just tore it up. So We Like Shooting kind of broke that. I saw it at like 11 o'clock at night, posted it, and by that next morning it had gone just absolutely insane. Taran and Taran Tactical put out a press release that was basically like, look, she's a promotional model, we didn't know. But again, I don't buy it. Like, she had been in his videos and pictures and everything since 2012. This is obviously a friend. Maybe he didn't know her. Maybe he didn't know her positions on guns and things like that. But for one thing, she's wearing a Taran Tactical jersey in her picture in the article. And I find it hard to believe that someone would be that ridiculously stupid to know that they're at SHOT Show, to know they're there with a company that makes gun products, to know that they're there with a person who's been a competition shooter in our industry for a long time. I just think she didn't care. He called her promotional model. I say it's BS, and just the whole thing was just a disaster. And don't forget, it's not the first time that Taran Butler's been dinged for this. Amy Jane, Stolen Valor, claimed she was a Marine. She was another one of his promotional models / shooters.
Yeah, I think that the first person that you have to blame is him, not really her. I mean, this is his business. He chose to do it. He's been doing it this way for a long time. I get it. It probably worked great in the 80s. Maybe even in the 90s. In today's world, it doesn't work. And like with a lot of companies, these guys don't want to adapt. They don't want to realize what's going on. I absolutely don't think that there's anything wrong with having beautiful women. As Ava said, I think there's lots of beautiful women that know things about guns. I'm always coming across those people. And a lot of times I'm like, wow, these people are more, they're way more badass than me. I always think that, though. I always think that women are more badass than me. That's what, I like that. And I think that's a good thing. But he didn't realize the world that we're living in, and he didn't change and adapt to that. And it bit him on the ass more than once. And at some point, you have to hold responsibility for that yourself. It's the same thing that's happening with a lot of companies out there. There are companies that are starting to change and realizing that and doing something about it. But there's still a lot of companies out there that don't get this.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe he does realize it. Like, I don't know him from Adam, to be perfectly honest. And I've had people tell me that he's an amazing dude. But yeah, I mean, just the impression that I get as an outsider of his crew, but an insider in the gun industry, when I see them walking around, I'm just like, man, it's gross and it's icky and I don't understand it. But that's kind of what he's always done. And that's what lands him stuff like Keanu Reeves. So yeah, maybe it works.
What lands him? I mean, he is an amazing shooter. He definitely knows what he's doing. I don't know if him surrounding himself with all of these women is what landed him that gig.
No idea.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure either. My interaction with Taran Butler is I actually did a video with him. I think that it was arranged through the folks at Glock at the time that I did that video. I had a friend that was working for Glock, and she arranged that particular video, and he was talking about Keanu Reeves and all the training and all that kind of stuff. He's a Hollywood guy, right? He's in California. He's in Hollywood. He's training lots of these guys. I think he also trained Will Smith and several other people out there how to do this thing. But ultimately, you're the person who has to take responsibility for what happens in your businesses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you said, man, I don't blame Rochelle Hathaway. Like, I actually felt bad for her. I mean, she has every right to have her opinion, and I'll support that right to the death, to be perfectly honest. Yeah. I blame the person who put her in that situation, who I just don't see how you're around someone, spend time with someone over 6 years and have no idea that they're rabidly anti-gun.
Yeah, it's up to you to talk to people, and if they don't believe you know, if they don't believe this thing, and you know this is integral to what you're doing, which you should know if you're in the gun world. We were having this conversation yesterday, and I think it caused some contentions with like the folks that support us here in the chat, because I was saying, and I'm not trying to like have this argument when the other guys on the panel aren't here, but I was trying to say that I think my personal advice to companies right now, with everything going on, they don't have to do it. I'm not telling them what to do. But if they ask me, I would say my advice is get out there on your social media and let people know that you support the Second Amendment. You know, and then we had some pushback over that, and the guys were like, well, you can't make companies get out there and say they support the Second Amendment because they're corporations and they're this thing and they're that thing. But you're in an industry where that matters.
Well, I mean, yeah, I agree. It's we hear newspapers talk about the First Amendment all the time and their freedom of speech. I don't think there's much difference in a gun company talking about how they support the Second Amendment.
Yeah, it's like I'm wondering, I'm thinking to myself, is this a crime? Can you not say that you support something that's written into the Constitution? How did that happen? But you can say lots of other things, which I agree with. There's companies that come out and say they support, you know, a gay marriage. They support people being transgender. They do all these things. I personally think human beings should be free. They should be able to do all that stuff. And then how come we live in a world where if you started a company or you run or work for a company, even if it's a corporation that manufactures firearms or accessories, if you don't believe in the Second Amendment, shut the company down. You know, if you do believe in the Second Amendment, say that. You don't have to do any of those things. You can obviously not believe in it, have a company, try to make as much money as you want. You know, you can believe in it and go, no, screw that. I'm not getting involved in this. I'm not going to say anything. But then the thing that you really believe in is going to get flushed down the toilet. And I'm always trying to say to people that just like everyone else, just like all the people on the other side of this conversation that we're having, they are out loud and proud about who they are. And that's totally fine. I support that. We should also be out loud and proud about who we are. And in our whole community, we should be like that. And we should know who we're dealing with when we put them out there and when they represent us.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, okay, Lola's writing questions on here. I guess things are coming in. Lola wants to know, how can we get more women? How can we, like, I don't know if that's like, how can I get more women, Lola?
This is relevant to my interest.
Yeah.
How can they get their wives and girlfriends to do this?
Oh, okay. I think there's lots of guys saying like, yeah, how can they get their wives and girlfriends involved in this? I think we get this question all the time. Like, what do you guys think about this?
So I think it just boils down to, you know, making sure that they realize that nowadays, you know, the world is dangerous. You could, you know, you can go shopping or to the store or wherever, and there's a potential that your life could be in danger. So, you know, making guns pink or whatever, like that doesn't really work. That most women don't even like the color pink. But, you know, to really appeal to women, I think that one, you need to let them know that it's okay to, you know, it's not going to make you masculine if you know how to shoot a gun. If you want to take up, you don't necessarily have to take it up as a hobby, but definitely know how to operate a firearm, because, you know, you should know how to protect yourself. So I think that really just allowing women to realize that. And I think that the more women that get involved in the industry, it's like I said, you know, women, they talk. If you become, like, let's say, you know, I get into guns and then I tell my girlfriends and I bring my girlfriends along with it. But I think that it really depends on, guys always want to get their girlfriends or wives involved. But I think that the responsibility is kind of in other women's hands, you know, to get other women involved. And I think that really just kind of preaching that it's just nowadays, it boils down to self-protection. You don't necessarily have to take it up as like a huge hobby and go shooting every other day, but definitely know how to use a firearm.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. What were you going to say with that, Shawn?
You know, I definitely agree with all that. And I just think, honestly, as guys, we learn this skill and then we're like, okay, yes, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to teach everyone that knows what I'm going to teach everyone who seems like they don't know what they're doing. So I see it all the time at a range. You see a girl at the range by herself, and there's going to be 2 or 3 dudes giving her pointers. And I say, we got that. Like,
I'm
you can
sorry.
say,
Yeah.
say, hey, I like your gun. That's a cool gun. And then walk away. But man, you just go over there and start like trying to be dominant and pushing your opinions, pushing your thoughts, which 99% of the time that I see it, they're wrong. I'm like, yeah, that's awful advice. Just stop, just step back, just let them have their experience. If they look like they're going to be dangerous, if they look like they don't know what they're doing, then it's okay to just step in and say, hey, I noticed that it seems like you're new to doing this. Or if you have any questions, I'm over here and totally available. If you need anything, just let me know. I'm right over here. And then walk away. Like, try not to be overbearing, try not to be domineering, and just let them have the experience. Like, when I got into shooting, no one came over and like tried to tell me what I was doing right, wrong, good, or bad. And that's one of the reasons that I loved it, because I could go, I could do it. There was no ego involved in it. I didn't have to worry about it. And when we go over and we tell them, hey, you're doing this wrong, why don't you improve this? We take that experience away from them, I think.
Yeah. I think I agree with you on that. Like, the reverse of what you should do is put pressure on people if you want them to learn things. That goes for everyone, you know. When you look at situations like what happened recently and what we're all thinking about, like, the number one thing that I always think when I'm looking at that, when I'm looking at people being manipulated by the media, is these people don't realize what it is that they're fighting against. You know, they don't realize that they are fighting against their own freedom. But you can't force them to do that. The more that you try to force that on them, the more they're going to push back against it or run away from it. And we have to figure out how to we have to figure out a way for people to see on their own that this is a tool, and it's a tool that equals freedom. Just like any other tool, just like a car, like an airplane, like a knife, like a baseball bat, like our hands, like anything else that, any other tool out there that we can use to hurt people or murder people, it has the same potential, but most of us would use that to defend ourselves. And if you're out there saying like, oh, no one should have this, then let's say, for example, that we waved a magic wand and these things disappeared. And then these young kids that are out there being manipulated in this way, let's say there's a young woman there and there's now a guy who feels because he's physically bigger than her, he can force himself on her. How does she push back against that? Exactly. And that's what they're trying to give up. And today they're trying to give that up. And then tomorrow, when these kind of things, it's like, I don't know if you guys ever saw this video that came out. It came out, Shawn, sometime around, I think it's like 5 years ago or so when I started doing this. And I believe that we spoke about this before and We Like Shooting. There was this video of this woman, a mother in New Jersey, that was in her home. And this guy broke into her home. This huge guy broke in there, and she had like her children there. And he was beating the living daylights out of her, And if you watch that video and you think, wow, what if you're a husband, a father, and you want your mother, your daughter, your wife to have some kind of ability to fight back in a situation like that, where a person can't just come force themselves physically into your home and do whatever they want to you. And the thing about guns, the thing that people don't realize, this is the equalizer. This is what takes away how old you are, how small you are, all of that. It changes that, and it gives you freedom.
There's two kinds of people in this world, Hank. There's people that watch that video and they think, oh my God, I will never let that happen to me. I will fight. I will scratch, bite, shoot, stab, kill. That will never happen to me. And there's other people who watch that video and they say, you know what? That's terrifying. Oh my God, who is going to protect them?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we need to find a way for people to realize like what you're actually pushing back against. And what happens the day when the government decides to do that to you or anyone else?
Exactly. Somebody on here just said, what happens when Trump takes all your guns and then turns against you, which is true. That's,
that's why we have the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the funny thing about this, and we've said this many times, and people have said it, all of these people who are out there saying this were just saying that Trump is a fascist, is a neo-Nazi. It's like the worst president, this is going to be the end of freedom, right? It's the same thing that I remember Whoopi Goldberg saying, if McCain became president, we're going to go back to slavery. And in my mind, I'm like, there's no way in hell we're going back to slavery if I could defend myself.
Right. Totally
You
agree.
know?
The force multiplier.
Yeah. You know, so I think there's a way that we can reach people, but we can't force something on them. We can't, because that's the opposite of what we're trying to do. Whether it's your mother or your wife or your daughter or someone that you don't know, you can't force it on them. Time is gonna show them how important it is to for them to be able to defend themselves. Let me see. I don't know if you guys are seeing any other questions. I'm going to come up with some of these other things here. Some people want to know, are you seeing more women in your classes? Or are your classes are not only for women, right? Let's start there.
They're co-ed.
Right.
You would think that I would be teaching more women. It's still probably 50-50. And I think the reason for that is there's a lot of guys that'll come to my class and they have no experience. They're middle-aged, you know, they don't want some egotistical instructor, you know, dressed in 511 gear, just kind of drill sergeant mentality teaching them. No offense. So, you know, if they don't know what they're doing, they don't want to feel bad
intimidated,
about asking questions and stuff. So I get a lot of guys in my class, and then I do get a lot of women, but it's still, I would say, probably about 50-50. Okay.
And then there's another question. What was your first gun and how have you changed since that gun? Do you remember?
Yeah, my first gun. Yeah, it was only 5 years ago. My first gun.
I can't remember 5 minutes ago.
That's because you're so old.
Yes, of course.
My first gun was a Sig Mosquito, which what a piece of crap. But I bought it because it was that glittery purple, and I wanted a 22 because I'm.
So that worked. Then.
It kind of did. But I don't know. So I wanted a 22 because I'm pretty petite, and I was afraid of the recoil, and somebody worked with me, and until I perfected the 22. And then after that, I ended up buying a Springfield XDM, 9mm. And I still have both those guns. I don't shoot them as much. And then since then, it's just, you know, it's gotten very addicting. It's like potato chips, where the minute you buy one gun, you're literally thinking within the next day, what should be my next gun? So.
Yeah. Okay. And Shawn, do you remember, because, you know, just to be fair to the guys here, equal time for the guys, do you remember what your first gun was?
Yeah, it was a Smith & Wesson M&P 40 cal.
40. You fell
40.
I did, man. I had it for like a month.
Fuckboy 40 rounds.
I had it for like a month, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I don't like 40, and I went and traded it in. And I didn't know anything about guns. So they talked me into the 40. They're like, yeah, do this. And I was like, okay, this kind of sucks. So I went back. I was like, yeah, it feels really snappy. I don't really like it. And they were like, okay, let me tell you what. I'm going to put you into this 1911. So I bought the 1911. And then, and then finally I came to my senses and got a 9.
Yeah. It's, I don't know how that happens. I think it may have something to do with like law enforcement. I think that lots of people I know in law enforcement for a long time, I think they're changing their mind on that, but they were into 40, you know, and they thought, hey, this is like the greatest thing in the world. And that's how people wind up doing things.
I think you're right, because law enforcement usually has the option between 9 and 40, and people, that's public knowledge. So they think that they need a 40. And honestly, I think that it also depends on the person behind the counter selling that gun. 40s don't sell that well. So if there's a newbie that comes in, they're absolutely going to push that 40. And I think that that's why a lot of beginners end up with a 40.
Yeah. Yeah. It was awful. It was very short-lived.
Yeah. I think my first gun, if anyone cares, I don't know.
Oh yeah, Hank, what's your first gun?
No, I actually.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I thought was.
Well, you know, it was.
How come no one ever asked me how I feel?
So my first legal gun. Let's start there.
I'm not gonna ask about.
Yeah, because that's important to make that distinction. Yeah, mine was a Glock 9mm. Glock 19, still have it. Yeah, you know, and like I think once you go Glock, you'll never, you know, well, that's not true. There's lots of people that went to Glock and then have gone away to other things, but you know, I'm pretty much like stuck in Glock. I still have a bunch of different handguns and all that, But I now have like 3 Glock 19s.
Wow. Yeah, I like Glock 19s. I'm a fan of Glock. Shawn likes Smith & Wesson. But
without a doubt.
But it's one of those things that I think certain people they shoot certain brands better. And I've seen it with my students, you know.
Yeah.
Grip angle physiology.
Well, also, yeah, there's a couple things that happened to Shawn. That 1911 maimed him.
Oh, no, I love that thing, man. I shot that thing for a year in USPSA, shot single stack. I loved it. I will always love 1911s for the rest of my life.
There you go. So that I think is one thing. And I think the Glock versus Smith & Wesson or anything else is almost like an iPhone versus Android. I guarantee, Shawn, what are you? Android, right? Or did you finally switch over to iPhone?
No, I'm all about the Android.
There you go.
I have an iPhone.
Yeah, see, there you go. Ava's sensible.
Of preference.
And Hank, you have an iPhone, right?
Yes, I'm an iPhone. Yeah, I'm an iPhone.
Girls like iPhones.
That's okay. I am 100% secure with my masculinity. No, but I think it's like it's a situation like that, you know. The Glock pretty much does it for me, but I think lots of people that, and I'm not saying that you have to have a Glock, you can do whatever it is that fits what you want to do. I wouldn't even try to tell people what to do in that case, but I think there's lots of people that are rebelling against Glock, and a lot of the reasons are good reasons, you know, but there's people that rebel against it, and so they're looking for alternatives. Do you think you fall into that category, Shawn, or you just never like Glocks?
Oh no, I think Glocks are fine. So I'm not attached to any manufacturer, right? I just care what I shoot the best. Yeah. I don't shoot Glocks as well as I shoot MMPs. It's just something about my physiology.
Somebody wants me to put the bow on. I only really put this on for the what's the name of that guy? The
Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Johnny.
Second.
Gun gossip. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but you know, since the folks want me to throw on the boa,
I was wondering, I was like, what's going on right now? Did we not get the memo? We didn't bring our boas.
There's that huge gummy worm.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Watch this. I'm going
if
to talk.
that gummy worm is big enough to go around your neck, that's scary.
Oh, dude, it is scary. It is awful. And okay, she's got it now.
All right, so
oh, Lord. Oh, that's not. Is that a gummy worm or a dildo? Don't lie to me.
Yes.
Well,
okay, wait, hold on a second. Can you just wait, just hold that up for a second, Ava, because hold it, bring it down a little bit. Yeah, okay, just that is now the thumbnail.
Smile.
Yeah, because that is not. You cannot make me believe that is a gummy worm.
It is. Watch, Shawn will take a bite out of it.
No, I'm not eating this.
Why?
Nope.
Yeah, that looks like a double-sided dildo. To be honest with you,
diabetes in a bag.
No, that is a double-sided dildo. That is not.
Yes, we're gonna send you one of your very own.
That is an edible schlong.
It may be. So that was Aaron from We Like Shooting. He sent me that for Christmas.
Yeah, he's trying to trick you. If he told you that was a gummy worm,
I don't even know. I'm scared now. I'm scared.
Maybe that's a setup.
Should be we're both biting separate ends.
Okay,
like
I'm for it.
Like Lady and the Tramp?
Yeah, I say go for it.
If anyone else calls you Tramp, I'll beat him up.
Yeah, I say go for it, man. I would like to see both of you with the gummy worm.
What now?
No.
Yeah. Well, I started my diet today, so
no, that's a bit. I personally wouldn't do it if I was you guys. I do not believe that was a gummy worm, guys.
But anyway, yeah. So I like MMPs. I shoot them better. I like Glocks too. I've got a Glock 17 in the office. I like those. The only guns that I don't love a whole lot are some of the SIGs, and I don't love Springfield very much.
Okay. Do you have a high point?
I do. I've got a couple.
Okay.
he has a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which high points? Which high points do you have?
I've got the 45 and the 9.
Okay. Cool.
45.
Yeah.
Go big or go home.
Yep.
Yeah. People are trying to tell me this is a PG-13 show. Like, where have you guys been? This has never been PG-13.
And you were cursing up a storm, so I just figured it was okay that I could, you know.
You could totally, you could curse. Absolutely. Yeah. You know what? Here's what happens. I get in a mode. So Jordan was here, so I wasn't cursing because, you know, I don't want to be responsible for ruining his innocence.
Right. Like, I'm not buying him beer and I'm not going to cuss in front of him.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So I think he said he was old enough to get beer. You know, what was he? He said he was 22, right? Or 23.
23, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a really good guy. He's not a kid, he's a grown-ass man. You know, but yeah, so I was in that mode, but we can curse, we can talk about anything.
All right, great.
Yeah.
I don't want to piss anybody off, but
Yeah, well, we can. I was gonna call this boobs and beer, but then you know we had like some serious stuff to talk about, which I'm happy to talk about. But I think also the folks out there that watch this all the time enjoy, you know, all the real stuff that we get into and all the different things. Look, the other day I've got one of my production assistants. He's not here because I think he also wound up having to I think he had to do some kind of work today in Orlando. But he's 20. I think he's 20 21 years old. And the other day on air we were giving him the birds and bees conversation.
how did it go?
I don't think we taught him anything.
Did you tell him don't be silly and wrap your willy?
Yes, we did. So yeah. What other good ones do you guys have?
No.
That's why we've got the plastic on the gummy worm.
Yeah,
Exactly. Definitely keep that gummy worm. Both of its willies.
No freaking clue.
Yeah. So do you have any other advice in that line?
for the birds and bees.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely wrap the willy, because nowadays it's just, even if you're in a relationship for a little while.
Wait, I can say awful things now. Is that?
Yes. You can say whatever you
never stick your dick in crazy.
Yes, that's a good one.
That's my favorite. I have literally never ever once taken my own advice.
So what are you saying? You've put your own dick in your own crazy?
Oh,
or?
that's just
I'm just messing with you. If you guys don't know how me and Shawn really hang out, like, you know, you could tell this is like the last half hour of this show.
Hank and I are legit friends. Like we are friends and have been friends. We kind of came up in this industry together, honestly.
Yeah. Yes. I think we've been doing this. You've been doing it like 5 years, right?
Yeah, about 5 years.
Yeah, me too. So
we met like very early on in both of our gun industry careers.
Yeah, and you don't want to know. It's really, really bad when we start talking to each other. People, I know one time, was it Lola that was like, "You guys talk about way too much gay shit."
Well, I mean, like in Florida, we all had bunk beds. We were in this big, huge dorm with like all the biggest people on YouTube, and of course, Hank and I, we get bunk beds right next to each other. But then, as if that's not bad enough, we go head to head.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you arranged that, Shawn. I don't believe that was accidental that they put my bunk next to yours.
No, I thought your CPAP was some kind of sexual device. So.
Oh, you had to go there and talk about the CPAP. Oh, I was
disappointed.
Oh, no.
Listen, that's how I get my energy, man. I need that sleep machine. I'm not too ashamed. You know, without that sleep machine, I go Hulk pretty much.
That thing was awesome, man.
Yeah. You know, but that's not even the worst. I don't know. I think I put up a little bit of video of this, but people haven't really seen. If you guys go back and look at that Barnauls thing that we did, yeah, that was a really crazy night sleeping out in the bunk. So
here's the thing: is Hank and I are in there, and normally we're like the loudest, most boisterous, just ridiculous people in the universe. We were outmatched by people's gas and snoring all night. Like, I don't know what's going on, but people in the gun industry, like the snoring and the gas, it's awful. I'm pretty sure Iraq veteran 8888. I'm sure I heard some stuff coming from his side of the bunks.
Yeah. Well, the scariest thing to me, and if anyone can roll back in time on social media and look on social media, you'll see Guns and Gear doing this. And Guns and Gear was on last night. Guns and Gear, we're all getting ready to go to bed and everything, and everyone should know that Guns and Gear is fit, right? Like I was saying before, if I was a fit dude, you guys would be seeing my muscles all the time.
Dude, he walked around with his shirt off the entire time.
So, but this is what's scary. We're literally in like a prison-like situation. Every dude is talking like, "Don't drop the soap," because we had those showers, you know, the community showers. All that kind of conversations going on. And Guns and Gear, did he bring barbells with him?
Yeah,
because he was doing like one of these things, pumping up, and I was like, "What the hell, dude?"
No, maybe it was a shake weight. No, but he like literally brought barbells. I'm like, you put those in your luggage, so you could bring like one T-shirt, one pair of shorts, and then 50 pounds of barbells.
Yeah, he was doing his workout, and I was like, I don't need to see Guns and Gear doing the workout right now when everyone's talking about like prison rape type bullshit. You know? So yeah, that was fun, but that was a fun trip though. I don't think that was the first time I've ever done anything really that we hung out. We hang out all the time. We've done things for years all around the country.
No matter where we go.
Yeah. But that was the first time that I did something with a whole bunch of YouTubers like that. And the ladies, Ava, they had their own room and I was not even allowed to cross the threshold.
Yeah. They were very, very strict about it.
Yeah.
The people that were running the place we were at.
Yeah. I was just trying to, I was like, I just went to the door and I was like, can I just look?
Can I get you some coffee?
I was like, hello.
And they're like, don't even cross that threshold.
Yeah.
Get away from the door.
Yeah.
So,
it was a good time though, man. It was, and everywhere we go, we always end up hanging out.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, it's always fun. It always gets crazy like this. So Lola wants me, you to tell the folks, Shawn, about We Like Shooting and all that for people who don't know. I'm going to assume that all you guys know about We Like Shooting, but either way, Shawn should explain it to you.
All right. Where do you want me to start?
How did you start We Like Shooting? Because you are the founder, right?
Yeah, Aaron and I. So we basically just started this website because we wanted to be able to keep track of our gun projects and stuff because we were just getting into guns. And so we started this website and then we were like, hey, I wonder if people would send us some stuff and then we can look at it, talk about it, and kind of.
So you started this for free shit?
Basically, yeah. Yeah. We've told this story many times.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, I wonder if people just send us stuff and then we can, you know, maybe check out some things that we might not otherwise be able to check out. And sure enough, people started sending us stuff and then we were like, oh man, this sucks. This is so much work. This was a horrible idea. Why did we do this? So from that point, we started looking for some other contributors to write articles for our website because we never had any delusions of grandeur or anything like that. We were just like, oh, okay, cool. We started this website. Well, we might as well put some content out. And then so we just started looking for people and we found Savage and we found Jeremy and we found Nick. And mostly we just looked for people who would argue with us on Reddit and stuff like that. And we would send them an invite and just be like, hey, come write for our website. And those three guys agreed. So then we used to have these weekly meetings every single week where we would get on Google Hangouts and all of us would just talk about like what we had done in guns that week and, you know, what guns we had got in, what stuff we were testing out, you know, reloading recipes, things like that, just whatever. And Savage 1R, he recorded one unbeknownst to all of us and sent it to Jake, who was the president of the Firearms Radio Network, and said, hey, do you think this might work as a podcast?
Wow. Okay. And Savage is a good dude, man. We should definitely mention him here because he's the guy that connected the two of us, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Savage, huge. He's huge into like Reddit and YouTube and all that stuff. And, you know, he introduced us to Hank and yeah, I mean, he's really responsible for starting all this. Jake said, yeah, record me a pilot episode. And Savage came back and said, hey guys, I just wanted to let you know that I sent a recording of this to Jake and he wants us to do a pilot episode of a podcast. And my immediate response was, no way. I have no interest in doing that. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And, I was way against it. So then, you know, we talked about it a little bit and then pushed it off. And then later on that night, I was like, you know what, maybe we could do this. But if we do it, we're going to do it my way because I'm a control freak.
Yeah.
So, I was like, well, if we're going to do it, it shouldn't be just something that, you know, flies by the seat of the pants. We should organize it and, you know, try to make it as professional as possible because I loved podcasts and I listened to a lot of tech podcasts, but no gun podcasts. So we put together our first pilot episode and we sent it to Jake. And to Jake's credit, like, We Like Shooting, for people who don't know, is like Howard Stern Gun World type stuff. Like we say horrible things and we have a blast and we talk about guns. It's just like five friends hanging out and, you know, having the time of their lives talking about the things that they're most interested in, the Second Amendment and just guns and just everything. But horrible things are said. There's a lot of cussing. So we kind of did that. Jake said, sure. And then, so we just started putting out podcasts. We met every single week. Monday nights, we would put out this podcast. We had fun guests. We made a ton of friends. And then it just started to grow and it just started to grow and grow and grow and grow.
And you guys are pretty much, I think at this point, you guys are the biggest firearms related podcast, right?
I think so. So in February 2017, so almost 1 year ago, Jake sent me a message and said, hey, I just want to let you guys know that you are now the biggest podcast on the Firearms Radio Network. And I was like, say what now? Because he didn't send out a lot of stats or anything like that. So I really didn't know. I had no idea. And I knew that people recognized us and talked to us, and we got more comments than kind of ever before, and we were getting just tons of emails and stuff like that. But I really didn't know, so it was kind of a pleasant surprise. Ava was on the show when that happened, and it was just amazing, man. Just
I think Ava, it's probably because of you.
I was thinking the same thing. I was actually literally, I thought it, you said it.
Yeah. It was like he was finishing your sushi.
Sushi.
Yeah.
Oh, we're in like a trifecta.
Exactly.
No. Alrighty, let's try it.
All right.
We finish each other's
sushi.
So stupid.
So when that happened, it was kind of that, and we had been doing things differently than anyone else. Like we had figured out how to monetize with advertising and things like that. We had done a lot of things that most podcasts and stuff didn't do. So
you really changed the game. I mean, I believe you made it like a real hangout, really like you're in a bar just hanging out with friends and you're talking about everything, and it's not super gun centric, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do talk about guns, but guns are almost secondary to just like the guys hanging out, and we get that so much. Like people are like, hey, when I listen to your show, I just feel like I'm hanging out in the garage with my friends, just shooting the shit and just bagging on each other, but also just talking about guns and shooting and all that stuff. And so somewhere we got lucky and figured out this chemistry. And then with me kind of being that control freak, I just made sure that we did it right kind of the whole way. I made sure we made the right relationships and just kind of figured out how to monetize that and how to turn it into something cool. And we did it. So last October, Jake from the Firearms Radio Networks hit me up and he said, I kind of want to get out of this and I want to sell the network, and I just don't want to sell it to just anybody. I want to sell it to someone who's going to keep it going. And just like when Savage came to me about the podcast, my response was LOL, no. Actually, I saved the message because that was LOL, no was my response.
Right.
I'm running wheel like shooting. I've got a ton of stuff going on.
I'm just laughing because this is like a thing. Like I know you, so I know, like, you're very professional, regardless of what, the image that you put out. However, it's like you really want to, I know for a long time, you really want to have fun with things, and you don't want to have to like get in there and organize and be the grown up.
Right. Well, it's just like,
I don't getting thrusted on you. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, so I told him no, and we talked for a little while, and I was just like, dude, no, man, I don't have what it takes to add this to my plate. But then I start thinking about it, and I'm like, well, okay, well, what if someone comes into the Firearms Radio Network, and we had 12 shows at the time. And I was like, what if someone comes in and they don't know what it's like to be a part of this family? What if they don't understand, how we do things? What if they want to change things? And what if they wreck it and ruin it and make it horrible? And so I was like, it
would be your fault.
I felt like that would be the case. So I messaged Jake back and I was like, okay, just send me some financial numbers. Let me see what I'm actually looking at here. And then I decided to take it on. So yeah, I took over the Firearms Radio Network. And then from that point, just I realized that we needed to get some new content in there. So I've been bringing in new shows left and right. GunFunny as one of the first things that I added as the new president of the Firearms Radio Network. Medical was something that I was really interested in. So we added the Platinum 10 Medical podcast. Trigger Words with Ryan Kleckner was a huge get for us, just because Ryan Kleckner, he's an amazing guy in the industry. I guarantee everyone who's listening, watching, whatever, has seen videos of him. He was the sniper expert on Top Shot. He was the guy who stood freehand and shot a 50 cal Barrett 1,000 yards standing. Everyone's seen those videos. They may not recognize the name, but Kleckner is an amazing dude. And then just all kinds of other stuff. After Action Project, which is a podcast that basically takes training, trainers and trainees, puts them together, and then they talk about the classes, like just some kind of crazy after action report and things like that. And then so it's been a blast. It's been fun. I love it. I love building things, and it's been a huge challenge. So I'm up to it. It's a blast, and every single day I feel really lucky to be able to do what we do.
Right. Absolutely. I'm proud of you, man. I know that you're the kind of dude to step up to the responsibility and really take this to the next level. I'm not saying like you didn't obviously pioneer doing podcasts, but in the gun realm, I kind of think that, even if you weren't the first guys to do it, you really did build this out, and so now when you see everyone jumping into doing podcasts, myself included, my first podcast I did was with you guys.
You were our first black dude that we had on the show.
Yeah, there you go, man. Broke the ceiling.
Exactly.
The first black dude, and then that killed it right after.
No, man, we've had so many on since.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I opened you up to the black dudes.
And that's the thing for us is we're
so
just
you agree with that? You're agreeing with what I'm saying?
You opened us up to the black dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know what he's saying. I know exactly what he's saying.
Yeah. Let me just say this real quick, because I know everyone's talking about it in the chat. Yes, we've got a lot of people watching. You know, it would be awesome for you guys to give us the thumbs up. So on behalf of me, I'm asking, please hit those thumbs ups. We really do need it. I haven't gotten into it just because we're touching so many subjects, but we really do need that. It keeps all of this going, you know, and makes it grow, so we can one day be like, we like shooting and GunFunny. So please hit the thumbs ups, guys. We really appreciate it. Huh?
GunFunny has a long road, but we are making some pretty big progress considering it's such a new show.
Yeah, I think so. I'm super proud of like GunFunny, because one of the things that I think is super important is, like we've been talking about the show, is like having those strong female role models, those strong female voices in our industry. And, you know, GunFunny, I'm a co-host on the show, but like it's Ava's thing. Like prank calls, that was her idea. I was like, no. And she's like, yep, we're doing it. And I was like, okay.
Into doing most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we also have another co-host, Lacey, who is a really good friend of mine, because I wanted to bring on another female.
Yeah. And I'm sure Shawn didn't complain about that at all.
No, I'm like, if I have to be in a room with a bunch of chicks, okay, tie my hands. Yeah. I'm done.
A lot of people think that it's an all women's show. Actually, we get a lot of
reviews,
and they say that they like all women's shows.
I'm sure. I totally believe that, because I see some dudes who are like, Hank, you promised like boobs and beer yesterday. Where's the boobs? It's me and Shawn right here.
Right, exactly.
I don't know. I mean, if you haven't seen it, you know, we should get thumbs ups just based on that. But no, I mean, I think honestly that, you know, I know it hasn't been easy for you to do all this, man, and keep it organized and, you know, figure out how to fund this, because it does, you know, as you get into this, people think it's so easy, and it's just like, oh, just going to make money and people are going to throw things at you. Even like you said, you know, you did it in the beginning thinking, oh, we'll get some free stuff. Eventually you get to a point where even if that's happening, it's not free stuff. Nothing's free. Everything has strings attached to it, you know? And there's a lot of things that you guys pioneered along the way. For example, Patreon.
We were the first gun content to ever use Patreon. We used it for years before other people started moving on. Yeah.
I mean, and you told me about it years ago, and I went there and I was like, okay, I'll make a Patreon. I never did anything until the whole YouTube adpocalypse smacked us upside the head. You know?
And I mean, a lot of stuff like, look, I don't claim to be a genius by any means. And sometimes I just get lucky. Like a long time ago, like 3 or 4 years ago, I was watching YouTube videos and I was like, damn it, these ads are getting on my nerves. So I was like, look, I'm not going to put my faith into YouTube, which is a platform that I don't own. I have no control over. So we just demonetized all our videos. And I was like, look, I'm going to figure out a different way to make money, because I don't trust YouTube. And that's when we found Patreon and started doing the crowdfunding. And then we figured out ways to get companies to give us money. And I've had so many companies tell us it's like literally the best money we've ever spent marketing. And I think that's just because the podcast format is so intimate, because when you hear our voices on the podcast, whether it's Who Moved My Freedom or GunFunny or We Like Shooting or any of the other 16 shows on the Firearms Radio Network, it's intimate because it's like headphones or sitting in your car in traffic. And it's just, you sit there and it just feels nice to have people talking and people that you can relate to. And I think that's just so great. And I think it's, you know, I think that's been a part of our success, is just kind of just being a part of the community, just being real people. And you know that very much, Hank.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. You know, and then along that lines, I mean, where do you think this is going? Obviously, you know, you were there at, I'm not going to say the beginning of the whole like YouTube and social media thing, right? Because there's a bunch of guys that came before us in the gun world and you know, kind of built that up. And then we're almost like, you know, some jokers that came along in there after a lot of things happened. Like, I know I started doing it after the Fire Armageddon. I think so did you guys, you know, on the tail end of that. So where do you think it's going now? Where do you think what do you think the future of this is?
The future of like what, podcasting or
of all of this stuff. I mean, obviously we're living in a world. I don't think ever the internet's never ever going to go away. But, you know, the way that people are getting their information is just like we were talking about at the top of the show. When you look at things like what CNN did, and a lot, look, dude, even when I was trying to look at the footage from CPAC, I was disgusted. And I was saying to myself, this is why I don't pay for cable TV.
Yes,
and I don't look at this crap, you know?
And I think we'll see that. I think we'll see, just like us, I think we'll see more cord cutters as we go. Like, I know Ava doesn't have cable. I don't have cable. You don't have cable. We're all cord cutters. I think we'll see more of that. I think we'll see kind of everything is cyclical. So we're going to see print make a little bit of a comeback. We've seen Athlon Outdoors kind of take over Harris Publications and really just kind of run with it really well. We still see Recoil Magazine doing really well and things like that. And it's not because print was ever dying. It's because they just figured out a new way to do things. They're focusing on digital, they're focusing on print. And that's kind of what I really think about podcasts and things like that, is just we need to figure out constant ways to move that mark, constant ways to figure out how to work with our listeners and our audiences and things like that. Video podcasts have been a thing for years and years and years. I think what you're doing here is a video podcast. And you know, I think we'll just continue to move in those directions. I don't really have any great prognostication or anything like that, but I just think we'll just continuously see these cycles. We'll see certain things get popular. We'll see certain other things go. You know, the popular thing right now is like really short videos, whereas We Like Shooting's 2.5 hours long. We have 2 shows a week now. We Like Shooting and then Double Tap on Wednesday nights. So we've got 2.5 hours and then 1 hour. So we're putting out 3.5 hours of original content every single week. But I think now, you know, some of the shorter stuff, like the Gun Collective came in and they were like, oh, okay, cool, 15 minutes and less. Let's do that. People loved it. We see Johnny from 180-second Ideas come in with gun gossip and 180-second Ideas. And what, 3 minutes? Now we're seeing 3-minute content. And I think we'll just continue to see that. But Nut and Fancy still out there, 40-minute videos. So, you know, I just think we'll constantly just roll through these cycles. And as long as we can figure out ways to put out all these different types of content and engage with our listeners and audience, I think we'll all be successful.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's a lot like a restaurant, and most successful restaurants today have, you can go in, you can sit down, you could sit at the bar, you can sit down and have a big meal, you can order stuff and just go there and pick it up. You know, you can get something really quick. I think that's what all of this is, and people are deciding what they want to partake in, because yes, traditionally the podcasts were longer, and now people are doing shorter podcasts. At the same time, you had shorter just videos. People were doing 2.5 to 5 minute videos, and now you see all those, like with vlogs, and you see the vlogs now going to 15, 20, 30 minutes, just because everything keeps constantly changing.
Yeah, and vlogs are something that's interesting to me. I feel like I've missed the boat on those for the most part, just because I wasn't paying enough attention to the industry because I was so focused on running We Like Shooting. But vlogs is something that I wish I would have really started pushing like a year ago, because I'll tell you what, Demolition Ranch, like all his Off the Ranch, like I watch that stuff religiously. It's one of my favorite YouTube channels, and I find them profoundly interesting. I know Tack Daddy was doing a vlog that I thought was pretty interesting as well, and a lot of people are doing them. And I really feel like I have stayed well ahead of the curve on a lot of things, but I totally missed the vlog boat.
Yeah, but I think that's not a bad thing. You were doing your thing. You know, what would you most like to do in this, Ava? Do you have, are you doing what you would most like to do, or is there something else that you're aspiring to here?
You know, it's funny because my degree's in English and communications, and people used to ask me all the time, what are you going to do with that? You know, are you going to be a teacher, an English teacher? And I used to get so annoyed because I'm like, the fact that I could speak well, write well, already gives me sort of a leg up on most of the people out there. But it's funny that now I am actually a teacher. You know, I just don't teach English. I teach firearm safety. And as far as the podcast, I guess to a degree, you know, I'm using my communications degree. But, you know, I still want to get a handle on the podcast. I think that it's going in really great directions. A lot of the guests that we've had are just really impressive, considering it's such a new podcast. Like on Monday, we just interviewed Lena Michalek, and on Monday that's going to air. So we've had, you know, some really impressive guests. I
mean, you had Hank and Lola Strange.
I was just getting ready to say,
Yeah.
we've had the best, so it's all downhill from here.
Yeah. I mean, you only go downhill from here. No disrespect to anyone from the Michalek family. Yeah.
So I think I haven't really been planning too much beyond the podcast as much because, like I said, it's still pretty new. I literally just concluded today that I'm like, okay, it's been 7 months that we've been doing this. So it hasn't even been a year.
Yeah, Shawn's going for the.
No,
You must be getting hangry.
we're gonna do the Lady and the Tramp thing, I thought.
No.
Oh, I don't think. Listen, I'm in for a lot of things, but be sure about this before you do it. I mean, I will tell you right now, it'll wind up being a snippet, but I'm not trying to.
I could just see people memeing this.
No, are you kidding me? Like that jerk Johnny from Gun Gossip. I was in his video 2 weeks in a row the last time I made that decision.
You were? Yeah.
That stupid wig and vest on that stupid bull in Las Vegas.
Do you remember? Did you watch him ride the mechanical bull? It was at the Barnauls.
Yes, I did. Yes, I saw it. Yes, we were there. I didn't realize. I was leaving when he was getting on that thing. I didn't realize what the hell he was doing. Yeah. I didn't realize he did that because we were there. We were in that room, but then we left, and I think everyone was looking for Shawn, and they were like, "Where the hell is Shawn?"
Yeah.
And so that's
knocked off on the bull. He didn't even last that long.
No, I didn't last that long. It's a common problem in my life.
Yeah. So, and you know what I was going to say to you, Ava, in regards to what you said, like, I think a lot of times if you just focus on doing what you're doing and doing it well, and obviously just, keep your eyes on the horizon, a lot of this stuff will morph into things. And like Shawn said, nothing's really changing. You still have magazines, you still have TV, you even still have radio, but it's all changing. I mean, lately here, radio stations are getting real cheap because people are getting out of the business, but that doesn't mean that radio stations are all going to die and disappear. I think new people will come into all of these spaces and do it in a different way, the way that Recoil did with magazines. Because in a space where there were all these gun magazines and they could not stay in business and they went out of business, Recoil's kicking ass, and that's mostly because they're focused on what they're doing, and basically they understand who their audience is, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they focus on that.
You ride the bull, Hank. You should. Why didn't you ride the bull?
Why didn't I ride the bull?
Yeah.
Because I knew what was going to happen.
You weren't intoxicated enough. Whereas
yeah, well, that's another thing.
No, I was not drunk. That was the awful thing, is I made these horrible decisions completely not drunk.
Yeah, you should be drunk. That's when you make better decisions. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of infamy behind me being drunk.
Yes, I think you do. You're way better when you're drunk. You're no good when you're not drinking.
Shawn has limited himself to 2 drinks
every 5 minutes.
Lacey and I are like, okay, dude, do whatever you want. But he's like, okay, this is my 2nd drink. I just want everybody to know. We're
That's so not true.
We're like, okay, you can have a 3rd. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Is it a 40? Is it a 40 that he's drinking?
Yes. It was a 4 Loco.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So let's do this in the final time that we have here. I mean, I think we're having a great conversation, but do you guys have some guns? We call it Gorn. Do you want to throw in? Let's do some Gorn here at the end, which basically, gun porn. So that's what we call it.
Man.
I'm actually really glad that this is Lane here because we weren't aware that that's what you guys do. But look at this gun that I just assembled it was just a few weeks ago. I'm using the, oh wait, can I talk about this now?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
But I got super excited.
Yeah.
So I'm using the Spikes Tactical, the Snowflake.
Oh yeah, let's see that up. Can we see that up close? I don't know how close you can get that to the camera. Yeah, now I see it. I know that your magazine and the handguard have like a really crazy pattern on there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see.
Kind of reminds them of that zebra stripe gum. But what I was going with is because of the unicorn that's on the lower, I wanted the upper and the handguard to kind of look like a unicorn. Not the unicorn horn, because I know that it's not colored, but I wanted it to be in the colors of a unicorn. And it's Off the Grid Cerakote. They did that for me.
Okay, cool.
A really good job. And then what company is it that has the little stickers?
Patriot something?
Patriot Skins. And it's basically a picture of unicorn, which I didn't know what they were. I should have actually looked into it, but basically they send you the stickers depending on what type of magazine you have. So in this case, it's a hex mag, and then you have to put the little stickers on, individually. So if you have OCD, I don't recommend it because
that's a lot of work.
I spent
like a lot of work.
too much time putting stickers on my magazine.
Yeah. Oh, okay, go ahead. Okay, looks like is that it? You done what else? What other parts do you have there?
The other parts are Matador Arms, their Fury grip that they just came out with. They just released it within the last month and a half, 2 months.
Couple months, yeah.
And then
is that a Lucid optic? I see.
It is a Lucid optic. Yep.
Yep. Lucid optic.
Strike Industries Viper buttstock. You already say that?
Yeah.
Did you talk about the Fax and Barrel muzzle device gas block?
No, I was getting there.
Oh, my bad.
Don't
you stole her thunder, damn it.
Wow.
Gosh. So Matador Arms handguard, they are a sponsor of GunFunny. And then the Faxon pencil
Manticore Arms.
That's what I said, I thought.
Nope.
Oh. Okay. Manticore.
What did she say? Mancore?
She said Matador.
Matador.
Oh. Sorry. Matador, it would be the grip. And Manticore.
he Jedi mind tricked you just now.
Manticore, a former advertiser with GunFunny.
So that's the handguard, and then I have a Faxon pencil barrel,
which is awesome. Faxon is
they make some really. I think I actually have all of their barrel, all of my ARs. I have their barrels. Oh, I do have that BSF barrel, which is like carbon fiber coated.
Yeah.
Or wrapped or whatever, but
dipped. No,
it's wrapped. It's a pretty expensive barrel. But I haven't really had too much time to play with it to give you guys my opinion on it.
Mm-hmm. Now, what is this gun that Shawn has here?
Well, I just literally ran into the other office and grabbed any gun that I could see. So this is my Remington Versamax Tactical that I use for 3-gun. Oh,
okay, cool. So you're still 3-gunning it up. That's good, right?
I know. After the Unicorn AR, I feel like nothing's really that adequate. So yes, this is.
Now, is it time for bed?
Let's see. I guess I've got this custom Glock 17 with a Tharos slide and a shield.
Says the guy who doesn't like Glock.
No, I said I do like Glock. I just don't shoot him as well.
Can you stop pointing the gun at Hank?
Well, I want to.
I don't feel muzzled or anything. muzzle you back. It's all good.
So yeah, I do like the shield sight. That's kind of fun. And then I also grabbed.
If you grabbed your high,
he said he didn't know what to grab, so he grabbed like 3 guns.
That was just.
Well, no, seriously, like you should see the office.
This is the Grand Power Excalibur in 9mm.
Oh, cool! Yeah, that looks cool. What do you think about the Grand Power?
I like it. I like the Excalibur. It's fun. Interesting barrel lockup, rotating barrel. Definitely ported and lightning cuts and all that good stuff. So
I just found out about those. So do you like that for 3-gun or 2-gun?
I haven't shot it in competition. I've shot it quite a bit, and I do like it. It's comfortable. It feels good in my hand, and I shoot it well. The one thing I don't like is that it has an ambi safety, and these paddles are like ridiculously huge, so I'm constantly bumping them and taking it on and off safe. So it's not something I would definitely love, but besides the safety, I do like the gun.
Okay, very cool. And I'm gonna, here's what I've been working on lately. Have not shot this. This is from the Farm Gunworks. This lower, it's a 9mm lower that has last round bolt hold open built into it. You can't see it right here unless I put in a magazine, which I haven't done. But there you go. So that's from the Farm Gunworks that made the lower, and then everything else pretty much came from GunTech. So
yeah, I saw that on Instagram, I think, today.
Yeah, I just got a chance to throw it up today. We did this a couple days ago, but with everything going on, I haven't really been able to show it. And then, it's got the SIG brace from SB Tactical back here. But if you notice, like we kind of like split it a little bit, but I don't think there's any problems with it getting it on there, even though it's got a little, see that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we kind of forced it on this pistol, this pistol buffer tube here, but it's still, it seems solid or whatever. So it's, it's still a pistol, but all the upper and everything came from GunTech. They actually put this together for me. And then all the little parts, including the iron sights and all that, came from GunTech. The grip, I didn't even realize that GunTech did polymer. So, I'm going to be doing quite a few things with them. Full disclosure to everyone. They're not coming on as a sponsor or anything like that, but we're going to be doing a lot of stuff with GunTech. They're based in Arizona. I think they make a lot of cool stuff. you know, and their prices are good and all that. A lot of people like this muzzle device that I have on here, which is like a 9mm slip over. And it's actually, there's some screws that you can't really see here. I don't know if you can see it. So this is not pinned, but you know, it's there, it's on pretty tight, but you could take it off and then put in a suppressor or whatever you want to. Yeah,
that's actually pretty cool. Did the screws allow you to divert gas to affect the recoil in whatever way, or?
No, I mean, I think most of this is just for the badass look of it.
Cosmetic, yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I like the way it looks.
Yeah, I'm probably going to take it off when I put on a suppressor. So once I actually shoot this, we just threw it together and I've had it here in the studio and I haven't had a chance to shoot it at all. But I'm going to shoot it, test it, make sure it works, zero the sights and all that kind of stuff. And then I would probably throw a can on this and actually carry it around in my bag.
Yeah, I like it. That's fun, man.
Yeah, I like the idea of 9mm. And then it's probably one of the reasons why I can't get out of Glock, because, you know, I'm a Glock fan. You have to have reasons why, you know, things you use your Glock magazines. I don't know where you guys come down on that. I know lots of people don't care. They'll just go with the Colt mags or whatever, but I'm one of those dudes that has to find other things to do with my Glock magazines.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm all about using the same mags and multiple guns, the same ammo across a bunch of different platforms. So yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, absolutely. I see people are talking about their different things. Do you guys have any cool gun projects that you have coming up?
Yeah, I'm working on a Faxon firearms build. I'm working on, we've always got like 50 different things going on. So yeah, I've got a Faxon build going on. I have one of those spiked snowflake lowers. I also just Des Tactical Arms made a bunch of laser engraved We Like Shooting lowers that I should have.
Sweet. Shout out to Des, by the way. Those are cool dudes.
Yeah,
I know they've been with you forever.
Yeah, they were actually the first people to ever send us a gun as a review item. And
I remember that. I remember. Yeah.
I love those guys. So yeah, congrats to Brian, who just had his first child with his lovely wife.
Oh, cool.
And, yeah. Which actually held up our laser engraving. So I'm not mad. I'm not bitter.
I saw him at a show and he introduced himself to me like I didn't remember him. And I was like, dude, you're Brian Zawatowski.
Exactly.
Yeah. He was like, what? How did you even? I don't remember names. You know that.
I was getting ready to say, I was like, you don't even remember my name.
But, you know, I can't forget that name because I had to learn how to pronounce it.
Exactly. It was like a 10-minute course.
Yeah, so that's cool. They're making their. I like collecting lowers, by the way. If anyone knows me, I like collecting lowers. I need to get one of those snowflake lowers, and I guess I've got to go get myself one of the Des Tactical lowers too now.
Yeah, very. I'm really happy. So he actually did the We Like Shooting laser engraved on one side of the magwell, and then on that same side of the magwell, he's selling a matched upper and lower. But you can also buy a dust cover that says hashtag WLS is life, which is something our listeners put together.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool. So Ava, what are you working on?
I'm working on customizing a 1911. So I bought a just a SIG TAC Ops 1911. I got it in last week and I just kind of want to customize it, you know, kind of mill out the slide. I put are you familiar with the company Valkyrie Dynamics?
I think
stuff for 1911s. I put they have like a muzzle brake for 1911. So I put that on there. I ordered a few of their grips, matching grips to go with the muzzle. So I'm hoping that when I'm done, it looks pretty badass.
Okay,
it won't look like the unicorn. Okay. The unicorn was just sort of
a one-off.
You get so many gun parts and you're like, all right, what am I going to do with this? And you know,
yeah. Are you getting flack for the unicorn?
No, a lot of people said they liked it. Some people said they'd pass, but I mean, whatever. It's cool.
You could do, this is freedom. You could do whatever you want with your guns.
I honestly, I mean, I did it just to kind of piss off, you know, people that hate guns.
No, I'll be honest with you. I think if you buy a unicorn, if you buy a snowflake lower, that's what that is. They don't call it a unicorn lower. I think it's snowflake lower, right? And if you buy one of those, the whole point is to make it totally obnoxious and annoying.
Yeah. Like, Shawn, read what does it say?
Selector. It says safe space, triggered, and full lib turd.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the whole, like, for anyone who doesn't see that, that's the whole thing. If you build one of these, you don't go practical, you go totally ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Folks want you guys to, can you hold it up like this a little bit? I don't know how close you can get it to the camera so people can, and I'll lock it on you if we can get it to focus.
This is the hardest workout that Shawn's done all week.
Yeah. Let's make Shawn keep holding it in that position.
She can't even lift this gun.
No, okay, Shawn. No, that's cool. All right. So you know what? You guys have been here for a long time. I don't want to, let's wrap this up. I would definitely like to have you guys come back, either like individually, collectively, and do stuff with us. Let us know what's going on with you. I think it was fun. Did you guys have a good time?
Absolutely.
Had a blast. Absolutely.
You finished my sushi. Again.
Sushi. Okay, that's dude. Yeah. That's weird.
We gotta work on something else.
We'll get it. We'll get it. It's
Instead
fine.
of sushi, we should say like you finished my, I don't know, what can we say?
I don't know.
My farts. You finished my farts. I like that.
I don't even want to think about Shawn's farts.
You complete my farts. Like I start the number 2 and you finish it.
Hank, they're saying please come back, guys. Great show. So
awesome. Yeah, I think the folks liked you.
So right now I host We Like Shooting. I also host This Week in Guns. I'm a co-host on GunFunny, and starting tomorrow I'm going to take over as the main host of Who Moved My Freedom with Hank Strange.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting tired of him as well.
Yeah, I'm down for it. Okay, so you know what? Let's. I think that's pretty much it. Do you guys, Ava? Did you have anything where you want people to follow you? What's the place you prefer people to go the most?
Really. So I'm mostly active on my Instagram, which is Elite Firearms and Training. And then if you guys want to subscribe to YouTube or iTunes, I know we're trying to get on iHeartRadio, so we need a few more subscribers to Spreaker. Spreaker. And if you guys it's on our Facebook page on GunFunny
and Instagram.
Yeah. So if you guys find that, I'd appreciate it. But
cool. And Shawn, what stuff did you want folks to follow?
You can find us everywhere. You can go welikeshooting.com/show. That's basically our feed. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, everywhere that fine podcasts are served.
Did you say YouTunes? Or did I hear that wrong?
I think I said, what did I say?
I don't know. I thought I heard YouTunes, but
just check us out. welikeshooting.com/show is our show. And we're on all the social media, Facebook, Instagram, all at We Like Shooting. Yeah,
you should start that, Shawn. YouTunes.
I'm going to right now.
Go right now. You discovered it right here. Okay, guys. I'm Ava, Shawn, stay right there, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for hanging out with us for so long, and all the great comments and all that kind of stuff. All the thumbs ups. We appreciate it. I don't know what's going on tomorrow. Who do we have? Lola? Okay, Lola can't even. Lola, woman! Yes. Who's coming on tomorrow?
Canic Fanatic.
Oh, okay. So the guys from Canic Fanatic are coming on tomorrow. So join us. It's going to be a fun Friday show. Lola's not even going to be here. I'm not going to have anyone to blame. I'm just going to freaking talk to myself.
You're not going to have a babysitter?
No one's. This is going to go really off the rails tomorrow because it's just going to be me here in the studio and the Canic Fanatic guys. So yeah, that's going to be fun. Join us for that, guys. We're out of here. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Deuces.
Bye, guys.
Peace.